They once shouted "We want privacy," storming off into a new life of Netflix contracts, California sunshine, and a backyard chicken coop. And now, suddenly, they're demanding back their titles, His and Her Royal Highness. Not just for Harry, but for Meghan too, so they can once again flash Her Royal Highness on every press release and every jar of jam. As if Her Royal Highness were not a symbol of service, but a souvenir from the Buckingham Palace gift shop you can return with a receipt. The rumoured deal goes like this: I'll forgive everything, if you quietly restore my wife's right to use the title. Forgive whom, and for what? Even he hasn't decided. For Harry, monarchy has turned into some kind of group therapy circle. Show up, confess, hand out amnesty, leave. Only this isn't a therapist's office. It's an institution built on restraint, protocol, and the nation's memory. The facts are blunt. Her Royal Highness was stripped from Harry and Meghan by Queen Elizabeth II herself, when the couple chose freedom over duty. Charles and William were both present and both agreed. The decision was firm, though it came with time to reconsider, and a path back if they wanted it. We all know how that ended: duty traded for a Netflix series, service replaced by interviews, silence swapped for endless accusations. And now Harry scribbles wish lists to the world, as if the past could be erased with a note typed into his iPhone. And then came the emotional play. According to tabloids and royal watchers, Harry dragged Diana's name out of the closet. They took Her Royal Highness from my mother, it was unfair, so at least give it back to my wife. That's not an argument. That's a cheap emotional prop, built to fuel headlines. If Diana, the mother of a future king, didn't keep Her Royal Highness, why should Meghan, the wife of the spare's spare, be granted an exception? The logic is as straightforward as a coronation march. Titles aren't discount coupons. They aren't compensation for grievances aired in podcasts. Meanwhile, reality keeps moving. William is heir. Charles is king. Harry is fifth in line, his influence fading faster than the views on his failed interviews. Even when his father was diagnosed with cancer, Harry's visit lasted mere minutes. If there was ever a moment for reconciliation, that was it. But it never happened. The palace didn't budge. And it won't. At the very same time, the country was struck by another kind of news, quiet, but important. The passing of Catherine, Duchess of Kent. A woman remembered for turning her back on the spotlight by choice. She put on the simple name Mrs. Kent and went to teach music in ordinary schools. Her students often didn't even know who she really was. Not because she was hiding, but because she believed her lessons mattered more than her title. But headlines couldn't resist. In a blink, her passing was dragged into yet another Sussex subplot. Will Harry and Meghan attend? As if a funeral were a red carpet, where you parade your ego and leave with a fresh storyline. The Duke of Kent, frail and broken with grief, can hardly be eager for Netflix cameras at the door. This is a private Catholic farewell, where there is no place for poses or brands. The contrast is painful. Catherine lived a life where people, not photos, were the legacy. Harry and Meghan live each moment as if content is the only outcome. Today, Her Royal Highness for the soul. Tomorrow, private condolences, announced by a press secretary. Private, but of course public enough to ensure no one misses the privacy broadcast live. Meanwhile, William and Catherine shared memories, named names, and quietly reminded us, remembrance doesn't need a microphone. And Meghan? She's been clear, Britain is too dangerous. So if she does fly in, and of course without the children, as usual it will not be about respect, but about narrative. She already has the language prepared, an airlift of compassion, honoring the memory, saying goodbye in person. We've heard it before. And we've seen how it ends, cameras at the doors, carefully staged frames. While one corner of the press debates whether they should be invited, others note the simple truth. Meghan had almost no personal connection to the Duchess of Kent. But the content machine hates a vacuum. Soon, we'll see new legends about secret bonds, wise advice, special closeness. Manufactured friendship churned out as fast as a streaming service cancels low-rated shows. And those ratings, that's another story. While Harry piles together arguments for getting Her Royal Highness back, Netflix's algorithm has already passed its own judgment. According to Newsweek and PR experts, the second installment of With Love, Meghan was a funeral for the format itself. The hype fizzled, the critics didn't show, the fans drifted away. Algorithms don't care about love or hate, they count watch time. The first episode clung to novelty, the second landed as a forgettable side dish. Dress it up all you like, it still wasn't the main course. And so comes the new desperation leaks of a family project featuring the children. Soft launches on social media, clapperboards in the kitchen, accidental behind-the-scenes shots. It looks less like creativity, more like testing the waters. How ready is the public to accept Archie and Lilibet on screen? But that's not art. That's the moment when the adults have run out of ideas. No story left, except the children. The most expensive and the most dangerous card to play. Here lies the heart of the dissonance. They demand back the sacred Her Royal Highness, saying it would clear up concerns about using royal branding in their ventures. Meaning, first give us the stamp, then we'll ride it like an all-access pass from series and podcasts to products, shows, and personal diaries. A universal license for monetization. And if the palace refuses, the monetization shifts to the next available target, their own family. The monarchy has weathered storms before. And it survived not by shouting louder, but by standing still. Some things must remain quiet. Funerals are silence. Memory is silence. Duty is silence. And when someone tries to turn silence into content, silence responds by refusing the stage. Look back at the whole journey, the tell-all interviews, the hints and pauses stretched for camera effect, the grievances against family, against protocol, against the press. Every time, the same ending. When reality presents the bill, they have nothing to pay with except more words and more camera angles. Now all the threads meet at one point. On one side, a plea dressed up as forgiveness, return Her Royal Highness, and maybe I'll stop being angry. On the other, a farewell service that cries out for dignity, not microphones. Between them, an algorithm that cares only about watch time. It doesn't read apologies. It doesn't accept forgiveness. It only measures attention. And when there's no attention, there's no third season, no matter how many press releases you write. And here's the lesson. It's not about hype. It's about boundaries. Her Royal Highness is not a social media badge. It's about duty, discipline, and history. Funerals are not opportunities to be seen. They're moments where even the loudest voices learn to whisper. Children are not a secret weapon to revive a brand. They should never be woven into adult contracts. The royal family doesn't need Harry and Meghan. Harsh as it sounds, silence has already delivered that verdict. The Queen's decision, backed by Charles and William, remains unchanged. Her Royal Highness will not return. Cameras are not welcome at the funeral. And no game of forgiveness will turn private interest into public law. The chessboard metaphor can be stretched forever, but the game is already over. The palace didn't checkmate them with a speech or a tweet. It did it by refusing to play. And every new burst of noise from the Sussex camp only highlights how loud silence can be when it says no. So here's the question. To those who still believe in a new chapter with titles and triumphant returns, do you really think the monarchy will gamble its authority just to let Her Royal Highness become a sticker slapped onto another project? Or do you understand that in this story, there are things that cannot be sold or bought in any season? Tell us what you think. Who still holds illusions, and why? For those who've let them go, what was the breaking point? Diana's name used as leverage, private condolences announced by press release, or the trial balloon with the children? Subscribe, because ahead lies more fact and less fairy tale. The Secrets of the Sussexes isn't about noise. It's about what you can hear when all the microphones are finally switched off.